I wish to speak with you today about contrasting attitudes to those I spoke about yesterday. These attitudes that I will enumerate today go in building harmony, in building family, in making unity and union, in making the family one. The first of these is what I term as openness. And before I can speak about what openness means, I will point you out to a beautiful scripture text which is found in Luke chapter 22, verses 61 and 62. It is a scene immediately after Peter has denied Jesus. Jesus has predicted that Peter would deny him, and Peter did. This scene is exclusive to Luke and not found in any other Gospels. And the scene reads that after the denial by Peter, Jesus turned and looked at Peter. And then it tells us that Peter went out and wept bitterly. Luke is the only evangelist who makes the connection between the look of Jesus and the weeping of Peter. The other evangelists also tell us that Peter wept after denying Jesus, but Luke is the only one who makes this connection. And I want to ask you, what kind of a look do you think Jesus would have given Peter? And even though I cannot read your minds, I can hear some of you say a look of compassion, a look of empathy, a look of understanding, a look of companionship. And some might even think, and wrongly, that the look which Jesus gave Peter was a look which said, I told you so. I knew in advance. My friends, the second attitude is totally wrong, because Jesus would never have pointed a finger at Peter. Jesus would never have told Peter, I told you so. No. My own interpretation of that look is that Jesus was saying to Peter through that look, Peter, if I was in your place, I would have done the same thing. If I was in your place, I would have been as weak as you. If I was in your place, I too would have denied. In other words, it is a look not of condescension. It is a look which goes beyond compassion. It is a look which goes beyond companionship. It is a look in which Jesus identifies with Peter. And this is why Jesus is able to let go. Jesus is able to forgive. Jesus places himself in the shoes of Peter. So openness in a family means that I place myself in the shoes of my spouse. I place myself in the shoes of my parents. I place myself in the shoes of my children. Openness means I'm willing to see the good in my spouse. I'm willing to focus on the positives in my spouse. Openness means I'm willing to let go of the past. Openness means I'm willing to let go of the hurts. Openness means I'm willing to start afresh and again. Openness is exactly the opposite of the attitude of I know. Openness says, I do not know everything about everything. Openness says, I'm willing to learn. Openness says, I'm willing to be corrected. The second attitude, as opposed to confrontation, is the attitude of carefrontation. Carefrontation means I'm willing to dialogue. I'm willing to sit across the table and talk with you. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say. I'm willing to change my mind if there is a need for me to change my mind. Carefrontation means that if I have something to say to you, I will say it to you and not to everyone else before you. Carefrontation means that I feel so comfortable telling you when I disagree with you. Carefrontation means I'm willing to sit by your side and willing to dialogue and discuss and break those barriers which exist between us. Carefrontation is seen so beautifully in the teachings of Jesus to his disciples. In Mark chapter 9, verse 31, Jesus predicts for the second time his passion and death. And immediately in Mark chapter 9, verses 32 and 33, the disciples are discussing which of them is going to be the greatest. And even though that discussion is out of place, Jesus does not berate them. He does not criticize them. He does not talk ill about them. He makes them sit down, and it is to the disciples that he teaches his way. He doesn't complain to the crowd saying, see what kind of disciples I have chosen. He doesn't talk behind the disciples. He talks with them. He talks to them. He corrects them as they listen. And so therefore, whenever there's a disagreement, and there will be disagreements, different ways of looking at things, different points of view, let them not be the basis of my disagreement with the person. In logic, there is a fallacy termed ad hominem, which means that I attack the person. When you're discussing something, don't attack the person. If the wife says something to the husband, there is no need to attack your wife. Or if the husband says something to your wife, there's no need to attack the wife. Attack what is being said. Discuss what is being said. That is the meaning of carefrontation. In confrontation, which I spoke about yesterday, I attack the person, I demean the person, I pull down the person. In carefrontation, which is the opposite, I tackle the issue. I do not speak about the person at all. I do not bring the background of the person into the picture. Oh, your mommy was like that, and your grandfather was like that, and you are like that. That is not an argument at all. So therefore, carefront each other, dialogue with each other, discuss with each other. A third quality is fidelity. And if fidelity is one side of the coin, trust is the other side. I trust your word so much. The husband must be able to say to the wife, and the wife to the husband, and the parents to the children, and the children to the parents. I trust your word so much that even if my eyes are seeing something, I will refuse to believe it if you say it was not so. Trust means that I trust the word of my husband or my wife or my children or my parents more than I trust the word of any other man or woman. Trust means that I'm willing to stake my life on your word. Trust means that I'm willing to believe every single word that you tell me. Trust means that there will never be doubt. Trust means I'm willing to believe that what you say is God's own word. And therefore, on the other side of trust is fidelity, because I know that you will never lie to me. I know you will never be unfaithful to me, not only in the narrow sexual sense between husband and wife, but in fidelity, even in thought, even in word. I know that your thoughts about me will be positive, that your words about me will be positive, and that's why I can trust you. Because I know you are faithful, I can trust you. And because I trust you, you will be faithful. So trust and fidelity are two sides of the same coin. The other quality, which has been a quality you've heard about very often, is the quality of love. Now, love has often been misunderstood. We speak in these words: I love to go for a walk. I love to have a good meal. I love a cool drink on a hot summer's day. I love you. So very often we use love loosely. Very often we do not really mean what we mean when we use the word love. If love has to be used, it is unconditional. If love has to be used, it must be without expectation. If love has to be used, it cannot be barter exchange. It cannot be you scratch my back, I scratch your back. I did this yesterday, you do this today. No. Love has to give and ever give. Is this possible? It is. I would direct you to 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 to 8. And I would suggest to you that you substitute your name wherever you see the word love used. For example, Joe is always patient and kind. Joe never keeps a record of wrongs. Joe is never boastful or arrogant or rude. Joe hopes all things, believes all things, endures all things. Read them. Put the name of your spouse if you like, or put your own name, put the name of your child if you like, or put your parents' name and read it. And believe me, it will make a difference. Often, unfortunately, the love that is professed between husband and wife is only for good times and not bad, is only for health and not sickness, and yet the promise on the marriage day is that you will love one another in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. And Paul says in these verses, 1 Corinthians 13 verse 8, love never comes to an end. Which means love is eternal, love is unconditional, love is forever. My own definition of love is very simple. I look at it as a 4-letter word and I say, in love, there is no I. Even in the word as we write it in the English language, there's an L and an O and a B and an E. But there is no I. You cannot have love if you put in the I. And finally, I want to suggest the optimistic attitude and direct you to Paul's letter to the Philippians, chapter 3, verses 7 to 14. Philippians chapter 3, verses 7 to 14, in which Paul is speaking about letting go of the past, of erasing the past hurts, of obliterating what has gone before, and of focusing on the present, on focusing on the now, on focusing on all that enhances, all that is positive, all that builds up. And you will see, with this optimistic and positive attitude, not only will the lives of your spouse and your children and your parents become better, but your own health will improve. And so I invite you, just before we can enter the sacred triduum, that we prepare our minds and our hearts by entering it with a positive frame of mind for ourselves, for our families, and for the whole world.